Hello YouTubers, going to do something a bit nautical today. Not used these models for quite a while. I built them about 5 years ago. They're Skytrex models. They're 1/700 scale. They're very nice to build, very detailed, quite time consuming as you can imagine, but they are lovely models. I'm not too sure whether they still produce them or not. I've not seen them on their website for a while. But if they do, I'll put a link in the notes. What we're going to do today is a small skirmish between two American frigates. Let me just see these over here. Against British frigate, which is protecting this model we saw earlier. Yeah, East Indian Company. So we'll start off, it'll be a small skirmish, homemade wheels, and as usual it'll be low cost production on the dining room table with a blue cloth just placed over it. Fortunately I haven't got the room to have full boards for sea battles. So we'll see how it goes. We're starting off with the Americans. We'll be chasing down the British, with the British frigate has orders to obviously protect the East Indian Company ship. Okay, and we'll see how it goes on turn one. Okay, turn one. And the Americans were at full sail, chasing down the Allied force. They fired their bow chasers, but both missed with their shots. The Allies, East Indian Company, carried on going forward at full sail, although it is a slower ship, so it will have to manoeuvre to get out of the way somehow. You can't just rely on outrunning the frigates. The British frigate tried to reduce sail to put itself between the American frigates and the East Company ship, but failed. Not a good day for Nelson's Navy. Failed. Basically, it needed anything above a 1, and it got a 1. So it's actually cutting in front of the East Indian ship at the moment, so it might have to make some sort of manoeuvre to get out of that situation without sacrificing the East Indian ship. So we'll see. Okay, turn 2. As you can see, the American frigates are trying to do a kind of pincer movement at the moment. Bit of firing on this move. The bow chasers from this frigate here, the Essex, they missed, and then we had a full broadside from the other American frigate. That hit the British frigate, took 3 damage, and the British frigate returned fire on the Essex here, but missed. And as you can see, the East Indian ship is still trying to make some headway behind the cover of the British frigate. Okay, on to the next turn. Okay, turn 3. On this turn, the British fired a broadside into the Essex, which did substantial damage to its hull and damaged crew as well. It was quite a good volley, so we'll see how that impacts that ship shortly. It did return fire, 1 damaged hull to the British frigate, and then on the other side, and this was quite significant, the other American frigate fired a broadside into the East Indian Company ship and demasted one of its masts, which will obviously slow it down, and it's already a slow ship anyway, so things not looking too good if that ship is hoping to get away. We'll see how it goes. Okay, turn 4. And it's not going too well for the Americans, unfortunately. The British frigate got the first shot off due to its crew status, and it basically fired along the decks and took out the remainder of the crew of the Essex, which means that she has struck her colours. On the other side, with the ongoing battle over here, seeing that the Essex had struck her colours, the American frigate decided to fire on the British frigate rather than the East Indian Company ship, because the East Indian Company ship was already going slow anyway, and he obviously wants to damage the protecting frigate. So he fired that, and he did a further 2 hull damage and 1 crew damage. So although the British frigate is pretty banged up at the moment, it is holding its own, and it has just taken out one of the American frigates. So we'll see whether it's got enough to save the day for the East Indian Company. Okay, turn 5. And as you can see, the East Indian Company ship is sandwiched between the 2 frigates. It's just managed to get ahead so that the British frigate and the American frigate have got clear shots on each other. And the British fired first again due to their crew rating, and they did do significant damage again. Looks like after the poor start at the beginning, they seem to have got their act together, and their gunnery skills have been quite outstanding so far. And they've taken out half of the American frigate's firepower, and significantly damaged the hull as well. The Americans did get to return fire and did 1 hull damage on the British frigate, and even the East Company ship managed to get a couple of rounds off from its few guns that it's got, but it missed, unfortunately. Okay, so we'll go on to the next move. Okay, turn 6. And what has happened here is the British went first with their frigate. They did a normal move to try and get into a decent firing position, and then it was the American frigate's turn. Now, because the American frigate was already down half its firepower because of the gunnery from the British earlier, it decided that the only realistic way it's going to take out the British frigate is if it had attempted a boarding action. So that's what it's done. It's come alongside. It did successfully board. It did take a volley from the British frigate before it boarded, but this time the British gunnery let them down, and the American frigate took no damage. So they've successfully boarded, and they both taken 1 crew damage each, which leaves them with 1 crew each left. So it's going to be very close. Obviously, it's down to this boarding action really. If the British can prevail and defend against the borders, then it's pretty much over for the Americans. If not, then the East Indian Company ship is going to struggle to get away from that American frigate. So we'll see what happens next. Okay, turn 7, and it is the final turn. Unfortunately, the boarding action was not successful for the Americans. They lost their remaining crew, which means they've struck their colours, and the British frigate has got another prize. So it looks like the East Indian Company ship has limped away with its 2 masts, and the British frigate will be going into dock for some major repairs. It was very close. A number of points during the game. Could have gone either way. The British frigate is severely damaged and will definitely not have any further action in the near future. It was a good game. I enjoyed it. It went quite well. No lulls in the game. I think I will tweak the rules a little bit here and there. Nothing major. I do have some other ships. I've got a 40 gunner, 64 gunner, and then I've basically got the big boys. A couple of the 100 plus gunners. But obviously can't pitch them against the frigates. It's going to be slightly unfair. But I quite like the frigate action. I quite like the smaller actions. I find them a bit more interesting than the large ones. And it's and like I say, it played quite well, and it was very close during the end, and a couple of moves before the end. Could have gone either way. Okay then, catch you later.